The garage appeared overnight like a scar across his land, concrete and steel where grass had lived for decades. Everyone said it was an HOA mistake, but this story would reveal something far darker. Michael stood at the edge of his property line, staring at the structure that didn't belong there. The HOA president smiled confidently and said permits were approved. Papers were waived. Voices were calm. But Michael felt the ground shift beneath his feet. His late father had warned him about that boundary, about the survey markers hidden beneath the soil. Michael had trusted the system, trusted neighbors, trusted rules. That trust vanished with every bolt driven into his land. The HOA garage blocked sunlight, access, and peace. Complaints were filed, emails ignored, meetings delayed. Neighbors whispered that fighting the HOA was pointless. But Michael didn't argue. He measured. He researched. He waited. At night, he stood outside listening to construction echo in his chest. He remembered his father's words about land being memory, not paper. When the HOA president laughed and said, "You can't stop progress," Michael nodded calmly. He had already contacted a surveyor, a lawyer, and the county recorder. What looked like a simple garage was about to expose years of ignored boundaries and silent power. And the HOA had no idea what they'd built on. The official survey flags arrived quietly, bright against the dirt like warnings no one wanted to see. Michael said nothing as the HOA kept parking inside the garage they didn't own. The surveyor confirmed it without hesitation. The garage sat nearly 6 feet onto Michael's land. Not inches. Feet. Old maps matched newer ones perfectly. Property records showed a clear line that the HOA had crossed years ago, hoping no one would question it. Michael filed a formal notice. The HOA responded with confidence, claiming shared use and historical permission. They underestimated how patient grief could make a man. Michael remembered his father planting trees along that line, measured by hand. Trusted by time. At the HOA meeting, the president dismissed the survey as outdated. Laughter filled the room. Michael watched quietly, hands folded. He submitted the county-certified documents the next morning. The HOA's lawyer replied with delays and requests. Weeks passed. The garage stood heavy and smug. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Then the court summons arrived. Silence replaced confidence. The HOA tried to negotiate, offering payment, easements, compromise. Michael declined. This was never about money. It was about truth. And once the judge reviewed the records, the tone shifted. What had been brushed aside was now undeniable. The garage wasn't a mistake. It was trespass. And the court wanted answers fast. The courtroom felt colder than winter soil, every word echoing heavier than steel beams. The HOA president avoided Michael's eyes as evidence stacked higher than excuses. Survey maps, photos, permits, and witness statements formed a timeline the HOA couldn't escape. The judge listened carefully, asking questions no one expected. Why was no updated survey done? Why were boundary markers ignored? Why did HOA records conflict with county files? The HOA lawyer stumbled. Confidence cracked. Michael spoke only once. He explained his father's warnings, the markers buried but not erased, the patience it took to watch someone build over a memory. The room fell silent. The judge ruled swiftly. The garage was illegally built. No easement existed. No permission granted. The land belonged to Michael. The order was clear and immediate. Demolition required. No delays. No appeals allowed. The HOA president's face drained of color. Neighbors gasped. Michael exhaled slowly. Outside the courtroom, cameras waited. The HOA released a statement calling it a misunderstanding. Michael said nothing. He drove home and stood near the garage as evening fell. The structure that once felt permanent now felt temporary. Paper had finally caught up with truth. But the judge's final line echoed loudest. The removal must begin within 24 hours. Overnight compliance. And the HOA would pay every cost. Floodlights lit the night as machines arrived, engines humming like consequences. The HOA watched helplessly as their certainty turned to rubble. Construction crews worked under court order, carefully dismantling what arrogance had built. Panels came down. Doors were removed. The garage lost its shape piece by piece. Michael stood quietly, hands in his pockets, feeling no joy, only relief. Neighbors gathered at a distance, whispering disbelief. The HOA president stayed inside her car, phone pressed tight, powerless. By dawn, the garage was gone. Only disturbed soil remained. The court required full restoration. Fresh earth was laid. Grass seed spread. Markers were placed clearly this time. The HOA issued apologies that sounded rehearsed. Fines were paid. Legal fees settled. The president resigned weeks later. Michael planted a tree where the garage once stood. Not as revenge, but remembrance. The land felt lighter. The neighborhood felt different. Boundaries were respected now. Surveys updated. Rules rewritten. People waved again. The silence lifted. What started as concrete theft ended as a lesson no one would forget. Power without permission collapses under truth. And land remembers who honors it. The tree took root faster than anyone expected, leaves spreading where shadows once lived. Michael finally felt his father's warning had been heard. The HOA revised its bylaws, requiring independent surveys for every build. Trust had been shaken, but clarity replaced fear. Neighbors thanked Michael quietly. Some apologized for doubting him. He accepted without resentment. The land didn't need anger to heal. It needed care. The county installed permanent markers. The HOA paid restitution. The story spread beyond the neighborhood, becoming a reminder shared online and in meetings. Michael never chased attention. He simply told the truth when asked. Standing beneath the new tree, he felt peace return. The garage was gone, but the lesson remained. Land isn't owned by confidence. It's protected by respect. And patience, when paired with proof, always outlasts power. Months later, the neighborhood looked unchanged, but everything felt different. People now asked before acting, measured before building, listened before dismissing. Michael watched children play near the tree, unaware of what once stood there. The HOA held open forums. Records were transparent. Surveys were public. What had been hidden was now clear. The garage incident became a turning point, not a scar. Michael kept the court order framed, not as pride, but proof. Proof that quiet resolve could challenge loud authority. His father's land stayed whole. His warning echoed forward. And the HOA learned that boundaries matter most when no one is watching. The final lesson wasn't about winning, but about standing firm when silence is easier, because truth doesn't rush, but it always arrives. Michael never sought conflict, only respect. The garage fell not because of anger, but because facts stood taller than steel. The court order restored more than land. It restored balance. And the neighborhood carried that lesson forward, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.